You might be wondering, why are there so many boxes? Well, check out this week's episode to find out how we use the largest e-commerce platform to make a little bit of extra money. Cue the boxes.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Trapped Jail Nurse podcast. My name is John and this is Roland here. If you're new to this channel, we are San Francisco Bay Area nurses. And on this channel, we talk about our experiences as jail nurses. But aside from that, we also talk about different ways that different things in our lives make us feel trapped and practical solutions on how to escape those life traps. So today we're going to talk about one of the side hustles that Roland has been working on, specifically Amazon FBA. So thanks a lot for joining us today, Joel.
Oh, of course, man. You know I love being on here.
Yeah. So first question is, can you tell us, in a really quick definition, what Amazon FBA is?
So for the most part, at the very basic, you're sourcing items. It could be wherever you want to get them from, whether it's a store, online retailer, anywhere you could get your hands on products. You prep it, box it up, send it to Amazon, and then they sell it on your behalf. So they take care of pretty much everything after you send it to them. Once you get your
Hmm.
products into Amazon, they'll handle the sale, they'll handle the customer, they do customer service, and they even handle the returns on your behalf. So
Yeah.
it becomes hands off once your product gets there, at least for the most part.
Awesome, man. It sounds like when it comes down to it, it's basically buying and flipping products, right? But
Yeah.
using Amazon's infrastructure to do that. Yeah, I used
Oh,
to flip a lot of products, just like really basic things like a laptop
yeah.
here and there, but it sounds like you're actually doing it at a pretty big scale.
I think for the most part, like, I want to say a lot of people probably have had some kind of experience with whether you call it flipping or selling. If you've ever had an eBay account before Amazon was really big, that was a
Hmm.
pretty good one. And then they
Yeah.
have those smaller, like the local stuff like OfferUp, Mercari. I think Poshmark was one.
Hmm.
All of those are kind of similar, but the biggest difference is when it comes to looking for stuff, most people will go to Amazon. They have the largest like sales channel among
Yeah.
all the platforms, even
Yeah.
compared to like Walmart.
Do you want to share with us a little bit about what made you even get into Amazon FBA? Like, I'm sure you're doing it because you're trying to make some side money, but
Oh yeah,
why
definitely.
why not just like work overtime? And in the Bay Area we get paid pretty well, so a lot of people just work a ton of overtime and make that money. But what kind of put you towards that path to go to eventually get to Amazon FBA?
So, I mean, yeah, and overtime is, I mean, you can make a lot of money, especially if you do overtime, which a lot of people do, nothing wrong with it. But when you end up doing it, you use up pretty much another third of your day. And for me, it didn't, I mean, it doesn't feel good to do a double. I don't feel that great doing a double, whether I'm willingly doing a double or if I'm being mandated to do a double.
Yeah.
So, I mean, having to work an extra 8 hours for that, for us at the time, I think it was like an extra 300 to 400 bucks after tax.
Hmm.
Um, it didn't always seem worth it to me just because I'm losing time. I can't do what I want to do the next day because I end up being tired for whatever. And then I
Hmm.
end up having to go right back to work. How many, like less than 12 hours from the last time I was at work.
Yeah.
So being at work more than 8 hours or more than I'm supposed to is not ideal for me, at least for myself.
Yeah.
So this was during the beginning of the pandemic. Everybody's staying home. We're doing the whole isolation stuff. And I think I actually heard about it listening to a crypto podcast,
Hmm.
something that me and JR, who is also doing with me, he's my business partner.
Hmm.
We heard it on a podcast, and I actually reached out to those people. And it sounded so sketchy because, one, I've never done anything like that. I thought it was mostly like, I don't know, I just had this idea of it. It was going to be closer to selling on eBay than anything else.
Hmm.
I didn't realize that there's a lot of other aspects to it,
Yeah.
and it became more complicated, but with time and like enough learning, it was okay. It was fine,
Yeah.
manageable.
So at the time
Um,
when you started doing it, were you still working full time as a nurse?
oh yeah, we were. So we figured it out. We talked to those people. They led us to a few resources. And then from there, we were able to get started, made our own. We did everything from making our own LLC to creating our Amazon storefront and then finding inventory, sending it in, and doing that whole process.
Mm,
And we started that, I think that was June 2020.
mm,
So this is going to be our third year doing it, um, which is awesome. I
yeah.
actually didn't even think it would make it this far. At least in the beginning, I thought it would just be like a little, literally just like a small hobby to do on the side for fun.
Yeah.
But it
The
has
crazy thing
definitely
is,
grown into something else.
one of the reasons why I reached out to you was I actually saw one of your Instagram posts about the amount of sales that you had done for last year, so the year 2022, and it was in like the low six-figure amount, like a
Yeah.
huge amount of goods passing through Amazon, which is pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah, I know. Considering it's just two of us, like just two people working on it, although we had like a few in the time we had a few employees, but considering we're both working full time, when we first started up until like pretty much now,
Hmm.
being able to clear like a quarter million in revenue sales was, that was pretty cool for me. I didn't even realize
Hmm.
it at the time until I opened it up.
Yeah. Yeah, when I
So,
was doing my sales, just for fun, it was nowhere near that number. I think even at the maximum, maybe $10,000 a year, but to be in multiple six figures of revenue, that's pretty crazy, especially if you're doing a full-time job on the side as well.
oh, I know. To be honest, I'm still amazed every time I look at it, just because it's like you start off, everything's pretty tough. You don't really think you're getting anywhere. You even make your first purchases, and it feels like it's lame because you spent, I don't know, maybe $80 and you're making maybe, I don't know, $24 in profit.
Yeah.
But when it compounds on itself and you end up finding a lot of product, you know where to look, you know how to contact stuff or contact distributors, or you just find really good sales. It ends up being a lot better than you would think.
Yeah, one thing I learned from my cousin, he used to own a store where he would sell like chewing gum, right? So,
Hmm.
you might buy it for like 50 cents and flip it for like $1.
Hmm.
But what matters is percentage, right? So even
Yes,
though
yes,
it's
yes.
you get like $20 profit on that item, that's actually like 25% profit.
Yeah.
So if you're making that over and over again, and if you're selling like $100,000 and you're making 25% of that, that's a pretty good chunk of change.
It it ends up being an average of all the items we sell. We sell anything from less than $10 up to, I think the most that we've sold per item is maybe 2,500. And
Mm,
that's for like a 18-foot pool that we managed to get our hands on.
yeah.
So, it varies, and you really just wouldn't realize how much you could do, starting like to sell on Amazon.
So it sounds like your Amazon stuff is doing pretty well. Do you feel like it's at the point now where you can actually quit nursing yet?
I wouldn't say that we're able to quit nursing, but in the meantime, we've been able to slowly replace, what's the term that they use for that? Our liabilities. Is that a liability? Like utilities and stuff? Are those things
Like
that, like,
expenses?
yeah, expenses? Um, our goal initially was to replace that overtime shift. So everybody's like, why don't you work overtime? Why don't you do overtime? And for us, when we equate one overtime, it comes out to that $300, $400.
Hmm.
So our initial goal was, let's make enough to where we could replace it so we can say, okay, we don't need to do an overtime.
Hmm.
And then as we slowly went through it, we started replacing things like paying for our gas. Our product, or at least our revenue, would help pay for that. And then we started going into utilities. Like we just started off with the simple ones like phone bill, um, internet, and then it started going to water, gas, electric. So
That's pretty awesome, man.
so
Yeah.
by doing that, we replace all those, and that means when our real paycheck comes in, at least from work, we have more
Hmm.
to either save for ourselves or to put it somewhere to invest or whatever we want to do with it. So
Yeah, that's pretty
it frees
awesome
up a lot.
actually. Yeah, on this channel, for the viewers out there, on future podcasts, we'll talk more about like personal finance stuff and things like that. But one of the big goals in there's a whole community that are trying to retire early or reach financial independence, and a big part of that is trying to reduce your expenses as much as possible. So, if you're able to do like a side hustle like Amazon FBA, where it can replace some of those expenses without you actually having to like work more overtime at your job, that's actually awesome.
That is true. I mean, not to get into like super specifics about it, but when you end up running your business as a legitimate LLC, you follow the rules, pay your tax, you register with your state and stuff like that. When it does come down to tax returns, there's a lot of stuff that you end up saving because some of your regular expenses kind of blend in with your business expenses, like the office I'm using. If you look behind me, I got
Yeah,
plenty of boxes that we end up storing here momentarily because the door's right there when I pick up from UPS or USPS.
yeah,
So I just shove them in here in the meantime.
yeah.
But there's a bunch of stuff that you are able to do when you start running that.
Like if your coworkers went to you right now and asked you, what would be a good side hustle? Of course, Amazon FBA is a good part of it. I think one of the big questions that people have is having like time to do something on the side. So, there's a lot of different types of side hustles people can do.
Mhm.
Of course, there's a lot of different ways to flip products, but if somebody was starting with Amazon FBA, how much time do you think they would need to kind of dedicate to it if they were trying to start it seriously?
I want to say it really depends, like your location, what's near you, what resources you have available in terms of stores or places that you could go to. But I think at least a solid hour a day just to work on anything usually helps. I
Hmm.
couldn't put a definite amount of time, but I will say that we did it consistently for the past 2, 3 years, and we're still working full time.
Hmm.
JR just had a kid, so he slowly started coming back into it. And instead of sourcing out like at the stores or any retail store, he ended up doing a lot more online orders. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of different ways that you could go about it. You don't have to be going to the store like us. You could do online sales or online orders.
Hmm.
So it really depends.
Yeah, and I'm sure our viewers have seen like a lot of social media stuff
Oh
about
yeah,
Amazon
definitely.
FBA. What's some of the negatives of Amazon FBA that people don't really talk about, or people it would be good for people to know before getting into it?
I usually advise them to take a look at the whole picture, basically. It's very easy to get started. You could literally just log on to Amazon. You could make an account and you could start selling stuff at that time. Like you could literally do that. You don't need an LLC. You don't need insurance. You don't need a lot of stuff. But I usually try to get everybody to take a look at everything that they would ideally need, at least to run it as a business and not treat it as a like just a small side hobby, I guess. Um, but there are things like this, like you're gonna receive a lot of boxes. You're gonna get a bunch of boxes for sure. You will get returns every so often. They don't have to come back to you. You'll be responsible for taxes. What else is there? Sometimes you get these cease and desist letters. They're not that scary, but you will start to get them once you start selling.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of when I see a lot of the Amazon FBA posts like on Instagram or TikTok,
Hmm.
they always show a picture of them buying something and how much they'll make on it, but they don't really tell you too much about like all the stuff that goes behind the scenes too, and
Oh
the
yeah, definitely.
potential negatives of it too. So
Yeah,
it's good to
things
hear
don't
about that.
always sell.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too,
You can
right?
make a big
But
mistake. Yeah.
yeah, but it sounds like you kind of have a strategy and have an idea of
Hmm.
it's not just like buying random stuff that's on sale or on clearance. There's
No.
a definitely a strategy to it to make sure that your inventory sells.
Yeah. We try to increase our probability as high as we can while implementing risk mitigation. So we have things that we do to ensure that we can mitigate that risk or at least reduce the risk of either not selling or making no money or definitely we don't want to make less money like we owe money.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that you can do. It's kind of like an exit strategy, but
Yeah.
all of those are things you learn along the way.
Awesome, man. And do you feel like this is something that people can learn by themselves online, like just by Googling stuff and watching YouTube
Yeah,
videos, or?
definitely. I mean, you could even just talk to us and we could probably just lay it out for you if you have questions.
Hmm.
It's a really simple topic to kind of discuss. It's just hard once you start because everything will be brand new. Like
Hmm.
we're just nurses, but like nursing, the medical field is what I'm really accustomed to. So the whole business aspect of selling on Amazon was totally foreign to me and JR. But I'm pretty sure there's not anything that you can't learn on like YouTube or I mean TikTok. You can learn a lot on TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's
Awesome,
definitely
man.
doable. I wouldn't say there's not too many barriers to it.
Cool, man. Any final message for all the nurses out there that are just, doing a bunch of overtime to make extra cash? Like any
Yeah,
encouraging words to how to kind of get out of that lifestyle of just doing overtime and potentially getting burnt out from that?
that is true. I mean, you just have to kind of I want to say a lot of people say this, but like you can't just use your body like that. Like you can't just subject yourself to working more than half the day, multiple days in a row. I mean, people
Mm,
can. People can definitely do it. There's a lot of detrimental health effects, but I would say there isn't anything that you can't learn. I mean, if you really want to make extra money, I'm pretty sure you could find something to at least learn or at least try.
yeah.
You're never going to know until you try it. So that's basically what we did. You don't know
Hmm.
what's going to happen when you jump into a new venture, a new project.
Yeah.
But the best thing you could do is just try it. And I
Awesome, man.
mean, it might
Yeah.
work out for you.
That's a great message. Yeah. I think, especially after COVID, people's perspectives on how their job should be and
Hmm.
how much they should get paid, and especially where they're able to work from, is completely different now. So
That is true.
the good thing with something like Amazon FBA, of course you have to go out and source, or you can source online, but
Hmm.
you can pretty much do that from living anywhere
Yeah,
in the US.
yeah.
It doesn't
I mean,
necessarily have to be in one spot, but at least with like our jobs, I always tell people this about nursing. Nursing by itself, even at the RN level, that is not what I would call a high income skill.
mhm.
So, for example, we get paid really well in the Bay Area, but someone that's living in another state like Louisiana or something like that, they're definitely not getting paid the same as we are.
Oh,
Nowhere
definitely.
close.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, but the difference with something like Amazon FBA, which I would consider like a high income skill, is if you jump to another state that doesn't normally pay that high in wages, your Amazon FBA wages don't really change. They're
Hmm.
gonna stay pretty stable no matter where you go. So that's really a true high income skill. And one of the things that we'd like to talk more about on this channel is encouraging people to kind of seek out those high income type of skills. So they in nursing they do have those types of skills, maybe not at the RN level, but if you wanted to go to school and become like a CRNA, for example, that's a certified registered nurse anesthetist. Their wages are pretty stable no matter where you go in the country. So you would make a good income no matter where you went. And part of this channel is trying to find out more of those types of skills. So any last words for our audience for today, Roland?
Yeah, the opportunities are definitely out there. So, I mean, you might as well just try. Like, there's nothing that's going to happen. I mean, just don't blow all your cash on it, but
And you could just
definitely
work
learn it.
overtime and make it out.
Yeah, just, yes, yes. But yeah, definitely.
All right, brother. We
And then,
appreciate you joining us today. So for our audience, please keep following us. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions about Amazon FBA, I'll actually leave Roland's contact information in the description so you can reach out to him with any questions. He has a
awesome.
really great TikTok channel where he posts a lot of stuff on there about his bargain hunting and the
Oh,
type of
yeah.
return that you can see on different products. So I'll leave his info below. And then if you have any comments or suggestions on different topics that you guys want to see, feel free to put it in the comments below. We'll see
Well,
you guys next time.
Do people still do that?